from Canada. Hello to my Canadian friends out there. Craig is, I've known Craig for a while, actually. I've actually followed you from your Turbulence training days.
Oh, yeah, TT.
Right? TT. I remember the Turbulence Training Summit. So I'm definitely, all the way up to what you're doing today, which we'll get to. But Craig, man, thank you for making time to come on the show today.
Hey, this is going to be awesome. Super stoked. Always love talking to my fitness folks and helping them rise up to the next level. It's going to be really cool.
I love it. Well, hey, Craig, for people that don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of your backstory? I know from fitness to where you are now, it's been an amazing journey for you and a lot of growth in that time. Can you give us a little bit of backstory on all about Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So here we go. I grew up on a farm in Canada. And, when you grow up in Canada, you pretty much do two things. You play hockey and you drink beer. Sometimes in that order, sometimes you drink beer and then you play hockey. And because of that, I wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach in the National Hockey League. And so that was my goal when I went to college, was to figure out how to get there. And I was on that path. I was doing everything right. I was even working with some teams and some players on a contract level. And then I started writing for Men's Health magazine when I was 25 years old. So I just sent in email newsletters to the fitness editor, and the next thing you know, like the next day he emails me back and says, Craig, we'll put this in the newsletter. And then I realized, and this is a real cool tip for anybody that gets an opportunity to work with a magazine or with a television show or with a really big online publication, is that editors and producers are the most overworked and underpaid people in the world. And so the thing is, they are on super tight deadlines. And so you want to give them the content right away. You want to get back to them immediately. And when you do that, they will give you more work. And so that's what happened for me, because I was just a young guy, but I was giving them quality content. And every time they had a fact checker send me some information, say, hey, we need this by 2:00 today, I got back to them immediately. So I really got in their good graces. And because of that, I've been with them for 18 years, sending in content, getting in front of the world, spreading that TT love. And so I was able to do that. That was huge. And then that gave me what I call the critical credibility. That's what you want. You want to leverage your publicity, your PR, into critical credibility in every social media and email, all that stuff. And back then it was just email. So I was able to build my email newsletter. I was able to connect with strength coaches like Mike Boyle, because, hey, I was the Men's Health guy. And that got me through past the gatekeeper. And so from there, my man, here's where I went. I started selling my own online programs. I started selling turbulence training in 2001, in the fall of 2001. And so that's a long, long time ago. And I sold it, very consistently for probably about 15 years. We're not pushing it too hard these days, but I might come back with a new one in the fall. And then in 2006, that's when I ended up with some struggles. So any questions up to that point, my man?
Well, so I guess you took a chance and you sent an email out. And I think that was the first big step, like that most people usually they freak out of taking that initial first step. Like, how did you overcome that? Like, how did you overcome that fear of taking that first step?
Well, there wasn't any fear of rejection on that, because I was just like, I found the guy's email address on the the NFCA web board, the job board. I was looking for jobs, and I was just like, I'll send something out to this guy. I think the biggest thing that I was doing up to that point was I was consistently writing a weekly email newsletter. I started it in 1999, so I've been writing email newsletters forever, ever. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to send it to this guy. I think most people these days have no problem sending the emails, but I didn't expect much of it. And then it just fortunately worked out. And what I did, in addition to taking action, was then I followed up consistently. And I think a lot of people just drop off. They're either not laser focused, they're shotgun scattered, and they're all over the place, and they have too many things that go on, and therefore they drop the ball. But I didn't let that happen, and that kind of set me apart from everybody else. And that got my foot in the door. That was the really, really important step, because I've been able to use, this Men's Health tag for almost 20 years now, and it's gotten me into some really great opportunities.
Nice. So there was a discipline there. Obviously, writing emails since 1999 till now, there's discipline there. Where was that discipline instilled from? Like, where did you learn that discipline?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a farm boy, you know, I'm a farm boy. That's all we did was, you know, all we did was work. You know, I started my first job when I was 13 making off the farm, first job off the farm. I was making $3.10 an hour digging ditches. So if you're going to pay me to write an article for, you know, Men's Health magazine, well then, holy cow, that is really, really, really awesome. It's a whole lot better than working 100 hours digging ditches to make compared to $300 for an article for Men's Health magazine. So
Sure.
you know, once you get the opportunity, I look back and say, I don't want to be digging ditches anymore. I'm going to be disciplined, do the work in order to have this opportunity. So I've always been a hard worker. I've always been very ambitious. You know, when people say what motivates you, I mean, I don't know. I don't have any motivation problems. So, you know, I just dig deep into my big why, and I want to help a lot of people, and I always want to go out and do the work. So that's definitely what I can do.
Now, are there some lessons you can share with us, maybe one or two, maybe three, that you have taken from those years working on the farm outside of discipline and hard work that you apply to your business today or into your life today?
You know, I guess as a farmer, you get up and you get at it early, and you know that you got to go and do the work. And I think a lot of people, especially in this day and age of this whole self-care and, you know, gratitude and all this stuff, you know, they waste like an hour and a half doing all this stuff in the morning when they really should go and do the hardest thing first thing. Because if they don't do the hard thing first thing, the next thing you know, it's like 9:30 and it's like, oh, now I got to go deal with client emails. And then it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They're like, well, I got to get home, pick up the kids or whatever. And they don't get the number one priority done. So that's what you do on the farm. That's what Brian Tracy talks about in his book, Eat That Frog. Mark Twain was talking about it, you know, over 100 years ago. He said, if you have to eat a frog, the best thing to do is eat it first thing in the morning. And so that's what people need to do. You need to work on your business first thing in the morning on the important but non-urgent stuff, as Stephen Covey calls it in his book. And that's the stuff that moves you ahead. That's how you write the book that gets you the attention, that gets you the bigger business. It's not going in and answering, you know, minutia client emails. Even though you think they're super important, you have to do bigger tasks first in order to move ahead. And that's where a lot of people mess up. And I think that's something I take from that farm boy ethic, is getting the hard work done first.
How do you set up your morning? So what's the morning setup for yourself?
Oh, it's very simple. I mean, I get up at 3:57 a.m. and I go right to work. So I'm at work by 4:05, sitting on my computer, writing 1,000 to 1,500 words every day, whether it's a book chapter, whether it's a video script, whether it's an email to my team, you know, a culture building email to my team, or whether it's some type of sales copy for my projects that I have going on. And I'm doing that first thing in the morning. And then I reward myself after with the meditation and the dog walk and all that stuff. So I'm really focused on that delayed gratification. I think the more and delay doing the fun stuff and you do the hard work first, the faster you're going to get ahead in life. And I mean, listen, everybody here trains hard who's listening to this. You know, you've worked out hard in the past, and you wait and you have the post-workout drink comes after. That's the reward for the training session. You don't have the post-workout drink and then go do the training session. No, it's the other way around. And so you have to take that athlete mindset, that farm boy mindset, to your job, to your business. And when you have that work ethic, that's how it's going to be a game changer. That's how you're going to move ahead in life, not by saying, oh, I'll do it later.
So for those that do do you find a lot of people get trapped in the whole gratitude journaling in the morning and get started on the hard stuff and delay the hard and procrastinate on the hard stuff?
Yeah, you know, I have all these coaching clients who say, you know, by 7:30 in the morning, I'm already really stressed out because I just did yoga, I just did gratitude journaling, I did meditation, and you know, now I got to go and see my clients. Well, listen, all that stuff can wait. I'm not saying it's stuff you should not do, but you can do that any time of day. And if it's important to you, you will find a time to do it. But if you have to create a brand new video script for a landing page for your clients, or you have to go and create a new series of you know, welcome emails or something, you know, this is the stuff that people will procrastinate on, because, you know, if you have the choice between yoga and meditation or doing hard work that where it's, you know, it's not something that trainers love to do, sitting down in front of the computer, you're going to take the exercise option every single time. And so all those people who find like, I just can't find time to do it, it's because you don't find time to do anything. You make time to do something. If you want to move ahead, if you find that you're struggling, if you know that you have that book deep in your heart, and it's like, you know, 3 years you've been saying you're going to write this book, and when you write this book, you're going to get a ton of clients, but you never find time to write the book, it's because you're not making time for the book. You have to go and make time. That's what I did. Writing my book, The Perfect Day Formula, it's sold over 25,000 copies, has allowed me to create a new coaching program, a new business, new 7-figure business, helping high-level entrepreneurs all over the world. And if I didn't make time for writing it first thing in the morning, it never would have gotten done.
So you have the title, the world's most disciplined man. So I've heard that a couple times when I ask about who Craig Ballantyne is, but it's never, but it was never always that way, right? You were not always the world's most disciplined man. Like what can you take us back to that time when those challenges were there for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still am very lazy and not motivated. And a really cool thing I just heard the other day is that Tom Bilyeu, the guy who started Quest Bars and he sold it, he also admits to being a super lazy person. And so in order to become disciplined, it's not like I built up crazy willpower. I just built up automatic systems, rituals, and routines that protect me from distractions and temptations. For example, I get up early in the morning because I know if I got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and tried to do my regular routine, I would be too distracted by the news, by wanting to go and check the sports scores, by wanting to go and check my email. And so I get up at 4 o'clock in order to do those 2 hours of magic time work. And I just adjusted my schedule and my life around it, and it totally works. And I'm protecting myself because nobody else is up. Nobody's trying to steal my time. But at 7 o'clock in the morning, people are trying to steal my time already. And so that is it's like building walls around yourself, you know? And it's just like for our clients, if their weakness is potato chips, well, you just don't have potato chips in the house, okay? You got to build these extreme rules that allow you to be a high performer. And that is what you must go and do to protect yourself from laziness, lack of motivation, lack of willpower, because willpower doesn't work. It's the rituals, the routines, the systems, the environment you put yourself in. That's what's going to allow you to be a high performer.
So do you think people struggle getting up early for the sheer reason of just not wanting to get up early, or do people, is the morning a different, like, do people get started at different times in the morning? Like, are their energy levels different in the morning?
No, well, for me personally, the reason why I was getting up later was because I thought it was cool to stay up late, but naturally I respond best. I have lower anxiety if I'm up early in the morning. Now, my life is not your life, and my life is not anybody else's life that's listening to this. And so what we must do is do a time journal, very much like you have your clients do a food journal, right? We have our clients do a food journal. One second. We have our clients do a food journal, and we have our clients do a food journal in order to find out what they eat and how they feel after it, and the results, their body composition. So we're teaching our clients, listen, if you eat Burger King at 12 o'clock, you're going to be tired at 2 o'clock. And so we do the same thing with our time. Okay, 7 o'clock, I get up, boom, 8 o'clock, I'm ready to do stuff. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock comes around, I'm like really tired. I always find myself on social media. You're making cause and effect. Well, why do you go on social media every morning at 11 o'clock and waste 45 minutes? Well, I don't have a client and I'm kind of tired and kind of hungry, but it's not lunchtime yet. And there you go. You've made the cause and effect. Okay, you're wasting 45 minutes. Why don't you go for a walk, get a green tea, go for a 10-minute walk, and then come back and write some programs for your clients, and don't go near your phone. There, you've just been productive, and now you're not stealing those 45 minutes from your children at night because you can actually get home on time and be present with them. And so doing this time journal is going to in everybody's life where they are wasting time. And every single person out there is wasting time. I have a friend named Joe Polish, and he's friends with Tony Robbins. And I said, you know what, if you gave me an hour with Tony Robbins or a day with Tony Robbins, I'd find 30 minutes in his day where he can be more productive, because I can find time for anybody, because nobody is perfect. And so that is something we can all improve on. And it's when you do the cause and effect, use the scientific method. You identify the stimulus and the response, just like we identify the stimulus and response in our clients' diets. You know, if they're drinking a coffee at 4 o'clock and they're tossing and turning at 10 o'clock, it's because of the coffee at 4 o'clock. And it's the same with our time. Why are we acting how we act at a certain time? And then when we do that, we also identify, hey, you know what, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm super energetic and productive and creative. Great. That's your magic time. And you need to protect that and not take clients at that time and not take phone calls at that time, so you can do your deep work. So that's the stuff you have to do in order to identify your high performance abilities, much like doing a functional movement screen before you take somebody through a training program.
You know, you make a good point with journaling your time. I actually did that exercise for 3 days in a row, and I found over those 3 days, I spent about 8 to 9 hours just on Facebook over those 3 days. Little increments like 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here. And man, like the biggest thing was I took it off my phone, and now like it made the biggest difference in the world. So yes, to that point, I definitely agree. Like I found the gaps in my day and realized like Facebook just checking it for no reason. I didn't have to be on it. It was just habitual to go check it when I had some downtime. That has made the biggest impact on me.
Yeah, there's a really cool tool out there called Rescue Time, and what it will do is it will monitor. You don't even have to do it yourself, but it'll monitor, you know, where you are with your phone and your computer, and it'll tell you like, hey, you spent 76 minutes on Facebook today. You spent 45 minutes on Instagram today. You spent 30 minutes on ESPN every day, and it'll give you a good wake up call as to where you spend your time. That's for sure.
I'll have to check that. I'll have to definitely check that out.
While we're on that point,
yeah.
I will add in, once you find out that you do that, now you have to set up boundaries. And there's a couple of tools you can use, selfcontrol.io and freedom.io. Those are apps that allow you to block certain websites or block you from the internet entirely from certain time periods. And you can't override it. So if you say from 9 till 11 a.m., I cannot go on the internet, and you're like, oh, I really want to go on the internet, you can turn your phone off. It doesn't matter. Turn your phone off and on. It's not going to override that. It's not going to let you back on the internet until 11 o'clock. And so if you must, use those extremes in order for you to overcome your bad habits. It's like when you tell somebody, hey, you just can't have potato chips in the house. Oh, come on. No, listen, you got to get rid of all the potato chips in the house if you eat an entire bag of potato chips every night and go off your diet. So you have to go to extremes. And that is how you will build the rituals and routines that allow you to become super successful.
Man, thanks for sharing that. I'll have to check those out myself. I'll link them up at the end of our live here. So up to this point, you mentioned so writing for Men's Health, and then you wrote your book, Perfect Day Formula. Talk to us about that. Like, what's the Perfect Day Formula? What's the book about?
Yeah, the book is about everything that I did. So as I mentioned in the start of my story, up until 2006, I was rocking and rolling, and then I started suffering from what I call the paradox of freedom. And the paradox of freedom is when you can work all you want and party all you want. And that's what happened to me. So I was 30 years old, living in the big city of Toronto. I had an online business, Turbulence Training was doing 6 figures, and I was just living life and living large. And it caught up with me. I was no longer 1 years old. I work all and had these anxiety attacks, and the anxiety attacks led me to having to actually go to the emergency room a couple of times. And because of that, I realized I had to put more structure in my life. I was suffering from the paradox of freedom, which caused me to have the anxiety attacks. And paradox of freedom is when you can do anything you want. And I realized I needed the paradox of structure, because structure brings you true freedom. Like Jocko Willink says, discipline equals freedom. And we know that is totally true. It is totally true. And so when I started going and putting more structure into place in my life, I started building these systems that again allowed me to be super successful. And from that, then I was able to move on and start coaching other people on it. And when I started coaching other people on it, then all of a sudden I was able to start building a business around that. So I started a coaching business. And then because I had all these case studies and I knew what worked, I was able to finally go and write the book, The Perfect Day Formula, which, so many trainers have gotten and used to absolutely change their life. And I get that all the time. Literally, it changed my life. And just giving them that structure, helping them reverse engineer their days to be more successful, has given them their freedom back with their family, has given them more financial freedom, has given them confidence, and has allowed them to become the peak performer that they want to be.
So you mentioned anxiety at 30 because of the paradox of freedom. Now, in that anxiety, did Craig become a different person? Like, was that impacting how you interacted with people being out? Like, did that have an impact on your personal life?
Yeah, long term for sure. But I mean, I had to slow down. I had to smarten up with my behaviors. I had to, stop going out every weekend all night long. And when I did that, it allowed me to retreat back, and I kind of cut a few people from my life, just that were bad influences, because the only time I would see them were in bad environments. And so if you have it, you need to stay out of an environment that tempts you. So I just removed myself from tempting environments like nightclubs and pubs and all that stuff. I just started living a more virtuous life, still a good life, but a virtuous life. And, some people came along for the ride and some people didn't. Some people didn't make the cut, and that's totally fine. I mean, everybody's got that evolution in life. And, no hard feelings. If I see them, I'll hang out with them, but I can't make time for them because they're still the kind of person who's going to the pub or the bar, even at this age, and it's not going to be helpful to me. So that did make a change in my life, but it also added more structure to my life, so that I actually ended up attracting even greater people into my life. Friends like Bedros Keuilian, my friend like Joel Marion, people who really play up, another level above and beyond.
How important do you, I know we always hear the phrase, your circle of friends and the circle that you keep. Like, how important has that been in your life, but how important is it in the life of everyday people?
It is everything. And it's not just like this cliche that Jim Rohn said and every personal development speaker says. It's Harvard research proven. So Harvard research, it was a Greek guy, is a real long last, Christophorus Superlopoulos or something, right? And so he's done this research at Harvard where he found that if you are connected to a lot of people that smoke cigarettes, your risk of smoking cigarettes increases. And same with being overweight. If you hang around a lot of people that are overweight, then you have a greater chance of becoming overweight. Scientifically proven. And if you go and you take a look at your clients who are struggling with certain aspects, and then you go and look around at all their friends and family, chances are they're going to share that same struggle. And it's because you're in that environment. If you're in an environment with overweight people, it means you're not going to be exercising and you're going to be eating crappy food. And that's why you're going to end up in that situation. If you're in an environment where you're surrounded by negative people who all they go do is go on Facebook and do political arguments, all you're going to do is get into the same political arguments. You have to remove yourself from the environment. The environment can make a dramatic difference. And you can see this over and over and over again in extreme tales of, people, even like research studies where they separate twins at birth or something like that, through adoption, where you have one twin in one environment and one twin in a different environment, and they totally become like their environment. So it's almost even more than just the people, it's actually the environment. The environment shapes the people first, and then the people shape you. So totally combined.
Why do you, with all your expertise, why do you think a lot of people have a hard time changing environments? Like, why do they struggle in finding a new environment?
Change is difficult in any aspect. And, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, change is easy and you got to change and you got to dump all these people. No, change is difficult. Change is difficult because so much of what we do right now, it's not just what we're used to, it's what our nervous system is used to. So I love telling this story because it is so powerful of how a habit becomes ingrained within our nervous system. It's very much like the example of, you take somebody who's squatted the wrong way for 10 years. It's difficult to change their squat, right? I mean, you can't change their squat overnight just because you show them correct form. No, it's because their nervous system is actually ingrained to squat that way and their body is adjusted. And so in my own personal life, here's a story that that will really show you how powerful automatic actions are. So when I grew up, my father, when every night he would go and watch TV in his bedroom, and he'd have candy in the bedroom. And I would go up every night from the age of like 5 years old to about 20. The first two, when I got home, is I would go into my father's room and see if he had any candy. So then in 2008, my father passed away, and I would go home on the weekend to see my mother and work out the affairs, you know, like all the paperwork and stuff, and just check in. And every single day in that old house, when I went up to my old room where I still had some clothes stored, I would walk up those stairs, and I would walk into my father's room first, even though he had been gone and there was no candy in the room. I was going in there because my nervous system said, when you go up, you go right and you go get candy. And that's how powerful your nervous system is. And that's why it's so hard to change. It's so hard to change, even when you have the best intentions, because habits are a powerful thing.
What is there like? Is there like a first step? Is there a first thing or a verse? Like, what's the first step someone can do to start that change habit?
Yeah. So essentially, it's anything. Changing anything. Anything is a learnable skill. So we can overcome being an introvert. We can overcome. I quit swearing 6 years ago. So, I mean, everybody thinks, oh, I can never stop swearing. Anybody can stop swearing if you put your mind to it. And it's a matter of what's called essentially a feedback cycle. So a feedback cycle allows you to get better at anything. And it starts with, first of all, establishing a baseline. And there's so many parallels to training here, right? So many parallels to nutrition and training and body composition transformation. So first of all, we discover the baseline. And we identify, well, why are we at this baseline? You know, what brought us here? So identify the baseline through outside eyes, through a coach, and also through introspection. Okay, where am I right now? Then the next step, step two, is what's causing me to be at this baseline? What habits? What environment? What's causing me to be there? Okay, great. So now we know where we are and why we're there. And next is to come up with options and solutions to overcome the obstacles. So that's where you start to remove yourself from the environments that are the temptation that put you at that baseline, and remove yourself from the social circle, the people, the influences that are stopping you. Remove the stimulus, whether it's nicotine, if someone wants to stop smoking, or whether it's soda, if they want to lose weight. We remove those things. And then we go and take action. That's the fourth step. So identify the baseline. Identify why you're there, identify solutions, take action on the solutions. And then the fifth thing, as a coach, we come in and we give feedback. And you get feedback on your own stuff through that time journal, through the food journal. You go and you're getting feedback all the time, and you remove the emotion as much as you can and go logically, okay, here's what I'm doing right, here's what I'm doing wrong. I need to do more of what's right and less of what's wrong, so I need to remove some more of these temptations. And that's how you do it. It's what I call the virtuous cycle. The virtuous cycle of good feedback will get you to the place that you want to be.
Is there on that cycle, is there a certain step that you find most people have a hard time with, where once they identify it, is there a step where they get stuck and they're like, I'm stuck at this step?
Oh yeah, it's definitely action. It's 100% action, you know, because I mean, it's easy to figure out where you are. I mean, everybody will admit when they're not feeling boastful or anything, but like, yeah, you know, nothing's, you know, it's not all perfect, and I wish I could improve this. Great. Well, why are you doing that? Well, you know, it's because of the way I've always done it, and this, that, and the other thing. Okay, great. So what do you think we should do? Everybody knows what they should do, right? Everybody who's overweight and eats at Burger King knows they should stop eating at Burger King. And so the thing is, it's the action. It's doing it, because most people, they don't believe in themselves. You know, they believe it'll work for other people. They believe that it'll work for you, the expert. But hey, and they actually believe it'll work for them, but they don't believe that they'll do the work.
How come?
They don't believe they'll do the work. So yeah, so I sell this program on morning routines, and you know, we had a big email list, and we're like, you know, obviously not everybody's bought it. Let's go to the email list and find out, you know, because they signed up for information on how to have a better morning. And we said to them, hey, listen, just curious, why haven't you bought the morning routine course? And a lot of them said, I don't believe I will follow through. I don't believe I will follow through. That is the biggest obstacle. So it could be going all the way back to like something that happened to them when they were a kid. I mean, this is deep, deep stuff. It could be abuse. It could be, they had a bad experience when they were a kid. Maybe their parents were hard on them. I know my father was hard on me, and I know that stopped me from doing a lot of things right when I was in my 20s and early 30s. And so what happened to us as children is affecting us today. There's a really great book called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's a fascinating psychology book. And it's something, I would go home every day from my office and I would read it for like an hour. It's so interesting because it just shows you how we get into these crazy bad behaviors because of what happened to us when we were kids or what happened to us in a traumatic experience. And it's so hard for us to overcome that cycle, to overcome that mental obstacle, because again, we all know what we should be doing. We all know. We know we should not be going on Facebook for 20 hours a week or whatever it was, 6 hours a week. We know that, but why do we do it? And oftentimes it's a path of least resistance. And so it's the action is the hurdle in the feedback cycle. And sometimes we need to do deep mental work, get therapy on it in order to figure out what we need to do. And then sometimes it's continuing to work better and better at changing the environment.
Do you think that lack of belief or that inability to take action is that like the top reason that stops a lot of entrepreneurs from taking like these big, bold risks?
Yeah, definitely they're scared. And so they're scared. I think a lot of people don't take bold risks as well because, the older you get, the harder it is to take a big, bold risk. You have so much more to lose. And people think, in their early 20s, yeah, I'll open a gym. But when you're 33 and you don't have a gym open yet and you have a kid and you have a mortgage and you have all this stuff, you're like, I can't go and take out a loan and open up a gym because, this is a huge risk. What if it doesn't work out? And then, we'll have to move back in with my wife's parents in the basement. So a lot of people, as they get older, it becomes harder and harder. We get these golden handcuffs. Life is too easy. Become complacent. I'm just happy here. I'm just happy here. And I do a lot of polls on my Instagram stories, and I see that all the time. I ask that question. I ask some pretty hard questions in my Instagram stories because I'm very curious about why people won't take action. And a lot of times it's no belief in themselves. They don't know what they're doing, and it's too scary for them to make the jump, the big leap. They're just complacent. Life is too good at this okay but unsatisfactory level. And that's why a lot of people don't do that stuff.
I actually love your Instagram stories. For the last couple of weeks, I've been watching your Instagram stories, and man, you share some amazing, amazing content on there. And that just started, right? Like, have you always shared on Instagram, or is that something you just started?
Well, I only started on Instagram about a year ago, and then I figured out it was in January of this year, I figured out stories are essentially the new version of email marketing. And so now instead of writing an email, I also do write my emails, but the way that I used to write emails, I approach my Instagram stories the same way. And I probably made about 500 grand on Instagram since doing it. And that's what I'll be teaching some of that at Rise Up.
Hey, the announcement. As I promised everybody on the post, we were going to announce something special today. And that announcement is that Craig Ballantyne is actually going to be speaking at Rise Business Conference, the fitness business conference this year, on Instagram and Instagram stories and how to sell on Instagram stories. Hey, Craig, so give us an idea. Like, what are you going to, two to three things, like what are you going to be talking about in your presentation today or at Rise?
I'm going to make it so easy for people to plan out Instagram stories, to implement the call to action that I use to get clients. I sell $5,000 coaching programs through direct message on Instagram. Sometimes I don't even get on the phone with people because of the way the stories are set up, the way my Instagram feed is set up, the practical use of Instagram Lives, and it's all building up a system that leads to very, very formulaic conversation and direct messages that leads to a $5,000 workshop sale. So if I can do that, what you can do for selling personal training and selling online fitness coaching. It's going to be a game changer for everybody. And it's so easy. It's just following a formula that I'll be able to go over in about 20 minutes. It's going to be killer.
I'm super excited. So any gym owner, studio owner, trainer that's on here that wants to get better at Instagram or better at Instagram stories and sell clients on Instagram, make sure you're at Rise in October. I wanted to also jump into your Perfect Day event. Now I know I've had Scott Rockcliffe and AJ and Jill have all attended your workshop. The way you just spoke about it, I had nothing but amazing things to say about it. Can you give us a little bit of information about what's the workshop about?
Yeah, so the workshop is essentially giving an entrepreneur clarity around their business and their personal life, making sure they have boundaries around that. A lot of the stuff that we talked about in this call here, but customized to their life, and then also giving them detailed business plans. I mean, I own three gyms. I've sold fitness programs online forever, so I can help online experts. I can help real world experts. I have stuff to help them become better leaders. And it really is this customized day of taking, like, here's their vision for their future. All right, now I create a straight line to success for it. 90-day plans, 30-day plans, and how their workday should look so that they become a high performer and maximum achievement. And then the real secret sauce in the entire program is they get 12 months of follow-up coaching from me as well. So that is a game changer. So it really is the entire thing they need for the next 12 months to have huge, huge breakthroughs in their business, to finally start earning consistently 6 figures, get their gym up to 7 figures, get their online business up to 30, 40K a month. I've done it before for so many people, and I know I can do it for you too.
Nice. And I know in October, the Perfect Day event is October 5th in San Jose, correct?
I'm gonna probably do a couple of them. The one the day before your event,
Okay.
and then probably one on the Sunday. Just for probably some tech people. So I'll probably do a couple while I'm there. I know that because you can only have 5 people come to them, so they'll fill up really fast. And I think the first one is almost half sold out. So I'm gonna make sure I get a couple in there.
Nice. And then we'll link it up at the end of the call. I'll put some links in where people can is there a website people can go to?
Yeah, they can go to perfectlifeworkshop.com, or they can just go to Instagram and hit me up with a direct message at Real Craig Ballantyne. And, we can start the conversation there. And they should follow me and watch my stories to get some really good ideas for getting clients too. You definitely should. Like Craig shares so much content on how to get clients on Instagram. I'm like, you definitely need to follow him on Instagram. I came up on this 5 pillars of success that you spoke about. I was reading an article on bodybuilding.com. You wrote an article on the 5 pillars of success. What are Craig's 5 pillars of success?
Yeah,
I learned these when I was running all my transformation contests back in my fitness business. And I realized the people that won the contest, they might have had everything going against them. But if they had these 5 pillars in place, they could do anything. And it's the same with, the people that dropped out from the contest. They were missing several of these pillars, and they go like this. And you can apply them to any area of your life: making money, finding the love of your life, finding the home of your dreams. It works for everything. And the first one is better planning and preparation than ever before. So, if you ever gone into a fitness show or a competition of any kind and you didn't do very well, you go into it next time with better planning and preparation than ever before, and you do much better. And it's the same with what you see in your own clients. When the people do better planning and preparation of their meals, they plan out, they make fewer mistakes, and it works in your business too. And so that's what we do at the workshop is, listen, I planned out so many entrepreneurs' schedules for success and their marketing plans and their sales strategies for success. I'm going to plan yours out better than you've ever had it planned out before too. The second pillar is professional accountability. That's your coach. And that's what you are for your clients. And that's what I am for you, because your coach is going to give you 2 things that no one else will. And the first one is expert advice. And the second one is no holds barred excuses, no excuses accountability. So other people will say, when you mess up, they'll say, hey, you know what? Don't worry. You know what? You're going to get back on track. But the coach will sit you down and say, hey, listen, what went wrong there? And how can we make sure to get you back on that feedback cycle of doing the right things? And if this happens again, I'm not going to be very happy. And when you have a good coach, you don't want to let them down. Now, the third pillar of success after better planning, and after professional accountability is positive social support. That's why we see such great results when we train in boot camps, because there's 10, 20, 30 people in there all going with the same energy for the same goal. Now that allows people to have better results because they're surrounded by positive, like-minded people. And you want to have that in your business, just like we talked about in that Harvard research. If you're surrounded by positive people who are getting you to play up a level, then you're going to become a positive person who strives for a higher level. But if you're around negative people all the time, if you're around overweight people, smokers, you're going to turn out to be like them. The fourth thing is a meaningful incentive, your big why, the big reason in your heart that's driving you. And what I found in the weight loss contest was that, if people were doing this to win my money, or they were doing it to, buy themselves a new pair of jeans, those people dropped out because that wasn't a meaningful incentive. Okay, it doesn't matter if I was getting them $1,000 or $10,000. They didn't care about the money. When it came down to pizza or the money, they wanted pizza. Now, on the other hand, if someone was doing this for their kids because the doctor said, hey, listen, in 4 years from now, if you keep this up, you're not going to be around. That's a meaningful incentive to go out and change. So you need to have a meaningful incentive, whether you're changing your health, for your wealth, or for your family. You need to have a meaningful incentive. And then finally, the fifth pillar is the big deadline. What's the big deadline in your life? In your 90 days, 60 days, 21 days, what can you do for a big deadline that gets you to take action, to move faster? Okay. That's why we do these 21 days or 90-day transformations in our businesses, in our fitness businesses, because we know that people can go hard for that length of time, and then they need a reward, and then they need some recovery. And that deadline gets us to take action. So you have better planning and preparation than ever before, professional accountability, positive social support, a meaningful incentive, and the big deadline. You put those things together and you can accomplish anything.
I love it. I love it. What is with Perfect Day Formula, the event, the workshop, what's Craig's big why?
I just want to transform a lot of people's lives. I'm always frustrated when people are frustrated themselves, because I know the solutions to success are so simple. I've helped so many people achieve it. I just see this. I see the clarity, the path to success for so many people. It comes naturally to me, and I want to share that with the world. And so that really drives me. And that's why I've been doing transformation contests in my fitness business. That's why I have a goal for myself of helping 100 million people transform their lives physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally. We've helped 8 million people so far, and we're just getting going.
That's awesome. Awesome. Is there a quote that you live by? Is there a quote that speaks to you?
Yeah, so it's really the basis of my book, The Perfect Day Formula, and it's control what you can, cope with what you can't, and concentrate on what counts. And that's a quote from a Stoic philosopher named Epictetus. So control what you can, and we apply this to the day. You control your mornings. Cope with what you can't control. Well, the world's going to bring you chaos in the afternoon, but if you have systems, if you have solutions to the obstacles that you know are coming your way, you'll be able to control that chaos. And then finally, concentrate on what counts. So you work hard, you're disciplined and structured during the day so you can be truly free at night to be present with your family, your friends, your hobbies, and your health.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to have to quote that myself. I'm going to have to write that down.
There you go.
That's a good quote. Last two questions. If Craig of today can go back 10 years ago, what advice would you give the younger Craig?
I would say get a coach sooner. I mean, I guess 10 years ago I did have my first coach, but I would say get more coaching, get around positive people, get in the right environment, surround yourself with high performers, and put your ego aside and ask for help. That's the biggest thing. Too many of us, we have big egos. We don't want to look, like we're not perfect. And because of that, we end up struggling. We might have anxiety attacks, or we might not be making enough money in our business. We might not be helping enough people. We might be having struggles in our marriage. And it's because we won't put our ego aside and ask for help. But that's what you need to do. That's what you must do, young Gregory.
Last question, your rise up moment. Was there a moment in the past that for you was that defining moment? And it could have been an experience. I took that leap and sent that email. Was there a moment where you define as that was my rise up moment?
I think it was the anxiety attacks, and that just kind of gave me a kick in the butt. Like, hey, stop being a frat boy and man up here. And it's time for you to grow up, show up, and do the work that you were meant to do, and kind of, break out of your shell and really, really start living and leaving your legacy. So it's the anxiety attacks, which often are the case, right? We have to go through our worst moments in order to come out the best. So when you're going through hell, keep going.
Love it. Love it. Where can people get a hold of you at?
Instagram, real Craig Ballantyne.
Facebook, not much on Facebook. Right, all Instagram, right?
I'm all Instagram. I think Facebook is a garbage pit right now. I mean, ads still work, but other than that, you can't get a hold of anybody. But Instagram is in its golden age. Facebook hasn't screwed it up yet. So use Instagram.
Yes, yes. Well, hey, I want to take this moment to acknowledge you. I want to thank you again for coming on the show, but I also want to thank you for what you're doing to help change the world, from helping transform 100 million lives. Like, I think that is awesome. I think I've been following you since Turbulence Training, so I've been on that. I've followed that mission, and I want to thank you for what you're doing for entrepreneurs. Some of us struggle thinking we're on an island all by ourselves, and you are putting that pole in the ground saying, no, I'm here to help. I want you to succeed. I'm doing what I can to do that. So I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, this is my life's work. My life's work is in that book. My life's work is in the Perfect Day Formula Kit, which is like the higher level. My life's work is in these workshops. I mean, I'm just getting started. I mean, I've learned a lot, and I want to transfer that on. And I've overcome so many struggles that I can help everybody overcome theirs, whether they have problems with drinking, whether they have problems in relationships, whether they have problems with being, kind of introverted, whether they have problems with being good at sales. But listen, I was terrible at all of those things, but I've overcome all of them, and I can help. And that's why I can help people overcome any problem, because I've had, the worst of the worst.
I love it. I love it. So, hey, so for everybody, come out to October 5th, 6th, and 7th in San Jose. Craig's going to be talking about Instagram. Craig's also going to be doing his Perfect Day workshop. So you got a whole lot of Craig over the weekend. Craig, thank you again for coming on, and I'll see you all next week on another episode of Rise Up the Show. Bye. All right. Let me just make sure we're good.
So is that the Zoom Pro that allows you to stream to Facebook?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, so I can stream to Facebook, and then it's recording, so I can record it as well. So it's the webinar. So it's the Zoom webinar that allows me to do all that. So I record it, we shoot it live, and then I take this and load it up to YouTube. We're good to go.
Okay, good, man.
What'd you think?
It's awesome, dude.
Good. Was that good? Did you like it? I know you've done a lot of interviews, so I was excited. I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, ooh, I have a good interview influencer on today.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing you, show your enthusiasm a little bit more. Get caught up and when I say something, like near the end, you said, "Oh, that was awesome," but the other times you just kind of went right into the next question, okay. And so there's a little bit less of a flow when you do that, because the questions were good, but it becomes less of a conversation at a bar. So you want to go like, "Oh, well, wait a minute," and when you went back and said you mentioned something here, that's good. That's again conversational. So you want to show a little bit more energy, and then just tie in every question, round back up, say, wait a minute, you can't just say that and then stop talking about that. You got to go back and tell us more about this incident here. So just digging deep like that.
Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. This is episode number 9, so I'm still growing with these Facebook Lives.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get great at it, dude.
Thank you. Anything I can do for you? The event, anything? I know. Where are you with that? Is it full? It sounds like it's almost full.
I got a couple people in it, but I mean, this will be cool to help out, and then I'll probably just fill on my own. It's no big deal. But if you know anybody who is successful that really needs to get their act together because they could be 10 levels higher, that's the type of person I'd love an intro to.
Okay. I'll look into the group. I have the private Rise group, so I'll go through the group and see who I know is doing fairly well that definitely wants to go to that next step, and I can definitely intro you guys. I'm definitely going to start using Instagram stories to sell tickets to the event. I haven't done that yet, so I'm definitely going to start doing that.
Yeah, you got to get on that. So I'll send you an email introduction template, and then you can just model it, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, dude.
All right, brother. Thank you again.